In this video, I will discuss the Q4 FY25 result and Concall of PN Gadgil Jewelers. PN Gadgil is a jeweler retailer mainly doing their business in Maharashtra, Goa, and they have around 53 stores, showrooms in Maharashtra and Goa. So comes to the result part of PN Gadgil. If I talk about the sales, they have done a sales of 1600 crore in Q4 FY25. Sales have grown by 5%, but if we see the whole story behind the sales growth, that is not 5%, because if we see last year there was a B2B business of refinery sales, but in this quarter there is zero revenue from there. And so if I take the consolidated sales, it is around 5%, but if I compare it apple to apple, then the sales growth comes around 59%, because if we see the retail having a share of 80% in the sales, done a growth of 50% year on year in this quarter. E-commerce have a 6% share in the sales and have done a growth of 243% in this quarter. And then the franchisee, they have done a growth of 40% and have a share of 11.5% in the total revenue. And if I calculate the weighted average growth, then it comes out around 60%. So as there is no sales from the refinery in this quarter, that is why the consolidated sales growth is low. But in the future, when it is Q3 of FY26, Q4 FY26, we will see the growth, because the apple to apple comparison is this, the weighted average revenue growth. So the revenue, if we see, the revenue grown by 60%, around 60%, that is a really good number if we see. So that is the whole story. If you see the sales growth, if we see in a naked eye, we will not be able to understand the thing which is going around the company. So that is the point with PN Gadgil, and they are guiding us for a 25% growth in the next year, because in the Q2 and Q1 of FY26 there will be a portion of refinery sales. If I go to Q1 of FY25 and Q2 of FY25, there will be a component of refinery sales which will be missing in the Q1 FY26 and Q2 FY26. That is why they are guiding us for a 25% growth. So in the first half, the revenue will be muted because of the refinery sales in the last year's H1. That is the thing. But from the H2, I mean Q3 FY26, there will be no component of refinery sales in the past. I mean in Q3 FY25 they have stopped their refinery sales. So yeah, that is the guidance from them. So if we look at the guidance, that is also a good one, because if they want to grow around 25% without the refinery sales, I mean with refinery sales in the book in the last year, okay, if they are looking around 25%, 30%, so they have to grow around 50%. Okay, 50% if we compare it apple to apple. I mean if we minus the if we subtract the refinery sales from the H1 FY25. So that is the thing we have to see, that how the weighted average growth will be in the next Q1 and Q2. So that is the thing we have to see. And if we see Q1, there is Akshaya Tritiya. So the Akshaya Tritiya sales are also really good, and they have seen a 35% year-on-year growth in Akshaya Tritiya, and that is in Q1. So that is also a good thing, that they have seen a good amount of growth. They have a volume growth of 2%, that is low. And if I see the consumer behavior, all of the management say one thing, that consumer always comes with a budget in the mind, not in volume in the mind. If they have 5 lakhs to buy gold, they will buy gold for the budget of 5 lakhs only. They will not buy that they are coming in and saying that we need 10 grams of gold. So that is the thing all the management is doing, saying that. And see one thing, as the studded ratio moves up, the volume growth will be lesser, because in studded gold, in studded jewelry, the gold portion is around 60 to 70%. So volume, as the studded ratio goes up, the volume will be less. As the gold price is going up, the volume will be less. And if I calculate the Akshaya Tritiya, as there is a sales growth of 30%, 35% to be precise, and if we assume the gold price have moved up around 30% and the volume growth is around 0%, that is the case with PN Gadgil Akshaya Tritiya this year. And then if we count the footfall, that should be increased around 30% of footfall. So that is also a good thing, that the footfall is increasing. And if we see this year in Q4 also, it is not with the Akshaya Tritiya only, but if we see the Q4 also, they have a 37% growth in footfall, and out of those total footfall, 92% have converted to customers. So that is also a good thing for a company, that footfall is rising, and the conversion rate is really good, that the customers, once they enter the store, they are liking the designs. The sales teams are also good in that sense. So that is a good parameter for a retail company. And yeah, if we again see the Akshaya Tritiya footfall, if we do the basic math, the footfall should be around 30%. The footfall should have a growth of 30% if we do the basic calculation. Okay, so that is the thing with Akshaya Tritiya and the sales. And then if I talk about, so see, before going to the gross profit margin, if I talk about the sales are growing at a very good pace. If we see in Q4, in Q3 also, the retail sales were up by around 50%, if I am not wrong. In Q3 also there was a growth of 50% and 42% retail growth there in the Q3. And if we see the whole sales growth, that is going in a right direction for the company. They are growing in a right pace, in a good pace if we see. And the footfall also, as I said, In Q4 there was 37% increase in footfall. So yeah, that is a good thing for any retail company, that the footfall is increasing. So sales are good, footfalls are good, that is the point. If I talk about the gross margin, in this quarter they have a gross margin of 12%, year on year increase of 160 bps. But the story is different, because if we see last year's Q4, there was a portion of refinery sales, and the management is saying the refinery sales last year Q4 was about 300 crore. And so if we subtract that, and the refinery sales do not have any margin as they said, and then if we calculate last year's gross profit margin, then it is comes out to be around 13% without the refinery sales, 13%. And this year they have done what, 12%. So yeah, there is a 1% drop in gross profit margin. But see, there can be two reasons behind this. One is that the as the FOCO, franchisee revenue is growing, that can be a issue, because in Gadgil, in Concall, in their business model, as the FOCO increases, the gross profit EBITDA margin is going down, but the PAT margin is going up. But if we see the management commentary, they are saying that in not in this case, but in the other commentary, they are saying that because of the franchisee and e-com have lower amount of margins, the PAT margin should be lower in the future. As they are around 4%, that should be around 3.2%. So I will come that again. So that can, so the first option is not. But the second option can be one thing, that in the last year they do not have any hedging mechanism, so they might have some gains in the inventory. That can be the effect, that they have higher gross profit, but this time they have lower gross profit in spite of the started ratio going up, because this year they have the hedging properly, they have 100% hedged, they have their inventory 100% hedge, so the hedging cost is there. They are also the gains are also not there. That can be a reason, that is why the gross profit may decrease 1%. So that can be a thing. So yeah, not going to that deeply, because I am not running the business, they are running the business. But if we see, the business is really young, that is like a 18-year-old boy. So the business is maturing, and it will mature by the time in the next 3 or 4 years, but the business is going in a right direction. That is the main thing. Let's talk about the EBITDA. They have grown by 19% in this quarter. So good amount of EBITDA growth. EBITDA margin, they have done a EBITDA margin of 6.9%, and they are guiding us for a EBITDA margin of 7 to 8% in the retail portion of the business. And if we see, retail portion is around 80%, so yeah, the EBITDA margin should be around 6 to 7% if we see consolidated level. If we see at the consolidated level, so as I said, they are guiding us for 7 to 8% EBITDA margin in the retail portion, and at the consolidated level that should be around 6 to 7% in the future, and now in this quarter that is around 6 to 9%, 6.9%, sorry. In this quarter that is around 6.9% EBITDA margin. Okay, so that is the EBITDA margin. And comes to the PAT. They have done a PAT of 62 crore and the PAT have grown by 13% year on year, and the PAT margin is around 3.94%. For last quarter also that was around 3.5%. Okay, so if we see the guidance of PAT margin, they are saying that they are targeting 4% PAT margin in the retail portion, and at the company level they are targeting 2.75% to 3.25%. So if we see from 4% to 2.75%, that is a really, if we take the lower part, that is really low, but the company management have said that they will do 3.2% PAT margin. As the retail, the e-commerce and franchisee have lower margin, and the company is growing, the company will open many stores in the next FY, so that cost also comes there. So that is why the company is guiding us for a PAT margin of 3.25% as at company level. Okay, so that is the PAT margin. And if I talk about the expansion plan, now the expansion plan, they are saying that they will open around 22 to 26 stores in FY26. Around 50% will be Coco and 50% will be Foco. Okay, out of 26 stores, there will be 12 to 13 PNG full-fledged stores and 12 to 13 lifestyle stores. And if I talk about the lifestyle stores, that is smaller in the size, and that is, if I say Kollan, that is Candid. If we see the lifestyle stores, they are like catering to Gen Z, for fun buying, gifting, like it will be around 30,000 budget, like the Candid do. Okay, so that is the lifestyle stores for lifestyle stores for PN Gadgil, and the stores will be around the malls and the like in the malls, in a small size of stores are there, like so that will be the lifestyle store for PN Gadgil. Okay, and if we say about the geographical expansion, they are saying that in Q2 they will expand to UP, and in the later part they can expand to Bihar also. So they are now opening, they will be opening stores in the UP and Bihar in this year. Maybe Bihar, or if the things go well, they may open few stores in Bihar also, but their main focus is to open 5 to 6 stores in UP in this FY. So that is the thing. And see one thing, as UP is not their home ground, they do not have any brand in UP. They have a brand in Maharashtra, everybody knows the brand PN Gadgil there, but in UP they do not have any brand there. So the break-even time should be higher, little higher, around 18 to 24 months, whereas the Maharashtra stores have a break-even time of 12 to 18 months. So that is why the PAT margin also may go down a little bit towards the 3.25 level. So that is the thing with the expansion, and that's it for the guidance and the result of PN Gadgil. But if I say about the opportunity in PN Gadgil for investors, PN Gadgil is trading around 30x PE, so that is for a jeweler retailer, that is really low. There is a good chance of re-rating, because if we see Kollan, that is trading around 70x 80x kind of level. So PN Gadgil have a really good chance for a rating. But yeah, if we see sometime if we see the management is not consistent with their guidance, but if we see the company is going in a right direction. But it is like what? It is like a 18-year-old boy who is cracked like MBBS or IIT, like that. Yeah, I can say. But yeah, companies going in the right direction. If we see their sales growth, if we see the footfalls, conversion rate, so all are in the right direction. We have to track the company again. We have to track the company, because the company can go to a level of Kollan as of now. If we see, because they have a good brand in Maharashtra, they are expanding to the other states, and they will, as they grow a brand there, they have very big space to play. Because if we see UP is a really big state, really big. So again, the company is doing good enough job, but they have to be consistent with their guidance. And there is some missing clarification in the last quarter, and in this quarter also there is some clarification is missing, if we see. So yeah, let's see what happens in the Q1. As I said, in the Akshaya Tritiya, the growth is intact with them. If we talk about the sales growth, if we talk about the footfall, both are in the right direction. So let's see what happens in this company in the future. But yeah, they have a good chance of rating if we see the valuation of Kollan. Yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching.